Green Machine Radio on KCBQ is sponsored by the Love Radio Network.
This is Green Machine Radio on Intelligent Talk 1170 KCBQ. This show features all types of green industry products. Now, here's your host, Dave Stahl.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is Green Machine Radio Show. I'm Dave.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Ken.
And we are going to sit here this evening, and we're going to chat with you about anything and everything. So, Alex, my man, you have a special guest on the line?
We do indeed have a special guest on the line today. Remember last week when we were talking about the water shortage issues that we have in California and the drought? Well, in examining that a little bit further, I came across a company who has been interested in doing a little bit of work with nonprofits to build on their whole business structure. And the name of the company is called EcoloBlue. And what they do is a very unique product where they make an atmospheric water generator. So they're literally pulling the water directly from the air, and now you have a 24/7 fresh supply of drinking water or for whatever else you wish to use the water for. And they also do some really interesting things above and beyond that. They have portable bottling units, and they use full-on biodegradable plastics in all of their bottles as well, because Wayne was very sensitive to the amount of waste from plastic water bottles that you would see at major events, sporting events and things like that. And he'll be able to tell you more about this, but Wayne was a world-ranked top 10 professional tennis player for many years, and he got very fed up seeing the amount of waste that would be left over from the tournaments and things just from the spectators, and it's not really their fault. It's just the fact that there's that much waste that it goes on. So he is now president of EcoloBlue. They make these atmospheric water generators, and they have a couple additional tools in their toolkit, if you will, to provide assistance for disaster relief and just remote areas where you need water. And wow, I mean, San Diego, we drive around town, and rather than seeing amber alerts for people that have been abducted, the signs are severe drought, severe drought. So this is as timely as it can get. So it's a real pleasure to have Wayne on the show with us tonight.
Well, Wayne, how are you doing this evening?
Yeah, I'm doing great, Dave. Alex, thanks for having me on your show tonight. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you know, I've got a real warm feeling towards water as well. Being on a well, I have to rely on Mother Nature and the water table, and you know, when it comes to conserving, it's almost as more important to a person that's on a well than a person that's not on a well, only because if the water goes off, there's nobody to phone call except the guy that drills the hole deeper into the ground. So, and I've always thought, you know, not as heavily as you have, I take it, but you know, like every morning you get up, everything's covered with dew, which if you put all that dew in a container, you know, every single day, that would sure be an awful lot of water over the long haul. But your system, I know, is way more sophisticated than that. Why don't you explain to the folks a little bit about how it works?
Yeah, but basically it's a very old technology that's been around. I mean, people who live in the Midwest and very humid climates are very familiar with a machine called a dehumidifier that they use in their basements to take out the humidity in the air. And basically an atmospheric water generator works on a similar concept. It's actually a little bit of opposite. I mean, with a dehumidifier, you're trying to take out the most amount of humidity with the least amount of water. With our technology, we're trying to make the most amount of water with the least amount of humidity. But it's based on the same technology, using a compressor and a condenser and condensing the humidity out of the air. So even though the technology has been around a long time, nobody's really used it, to produce machines that can make pure drinking and potable water.
Right. Is it because of the cost of the equipment and what it takes to build it?
Yeah, so we started the company, my partner and I, 7 years ago. And when we did start it, we did a lot of research in finding it. And, we thought there were two reasons behind it. One, people have done this and it doesn't work. Or two, nobody's really heard of, the technology. And basically it's the latter. I mean, nobody has really heard about it. And the other thing, too, in the U.S., in particular, people are still very fortunate to have pure drinking water at their disposal. It's still relatively cheap. People aren't really suffering with water yet, so it's not as needed as it has been for us in other countries that we do put our machines in.
Right, and that's my fear. And again, not mainly because I'm on a well, but you're right. When the water goes away, the water goes away, and then we're being reactive. We're not being proactive, and I think we need to be proactive, and I think that's where your company comes in.
Yeah, people are still complacent. I mean, water is accessible. You turn on the tap, and there it is, and it doesn't cost a lot. People do buy a lot of bottled water, and it's in small increments. You don't really feel the pain of the cost of it, but that can be quite expensive. But that's the thing; it's just not suffering yet, and water has always been accessible and easy. Right,
exactly, until it's gone, and then everybody gets like, "Oh my gosh, it's gone! How could that be?"
And it's certainly moving in that direction. There's a lot of municipalities, especially in California, that are really feeling the brunt of this drought that's coming, and it actually hasn't even really hit us yet. People are starting to realize the importance of water. I mean, you see it, as you were saying, Alex, driving down the freeway, you see, drought everywhere, and we're not quite there yet. So, it's starting to, get a lot more publicity, and our technology is perfect for that. I mean, it's if you look at the different ways of finding water, you talked about the dew. There's fog harvesting, but it's very hard to get a lot of water. Desal is very, very big these days, but it's very expensive and not very environmentally friendly. But besides that, there's not so many other options besides the technology like ours where you can make water out of the air.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you 100%. All right, hey, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we've got more all about EcoloBlue. Is that EcoloBlue.com? Would that be a place people could go during break?
Yeah, correct. EcoloBlue.com, yes.
All right, we'll do that. When we come back, more right here on Green Machine. I'm Dave.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Ken. And this is KCBQ AM 1170 Intelligent Talk Radio. All right, so we've got Wayne Ferreira on the line, president, CEO, head guy for EcoloBlue, which now with this, how are you working mainly in the U.S. or are you out and about across? Because I mean, there's other places that have a worse water problem than we do.
Yeah, so we started off in the U.S. selling our home office units, and while we were sort of engineering our larger industrial, we've moved outside of the U.S., but we do a lot inside. We've been working with some municipalities and places like that, but for us to get further along where we'd like to in the U.S., we have a lot of certifications to become certified as potable drinking water and that, but we certainly do focus a lot of our attention outside Africa, South America, the Middle East. There's a lot of countries out there that are really in more dire need of water than the U.S. at this stage.
Well, and I guess the thought that comes to mind is, cost for a system, and you buy a system for X amount of dollars, it'll supply or it'll produce this much water, or do the systems just get bigger and bigger and bigger, or do you just buy more and more little ones? How does that work?
So we have a different range of industrial units. We based our machines out on liters, which is obviously 4 liters to a gallon. So our larger industrial, we have our smallest industrial unit does 100 liters, 25 gallons, and our largest one does 10,000, which is 2,500 gallons a day. So at this particular stage, that's as large as we can go, purely because of the compressor condenser sizes that you can get. We're going to continue to work on getting larger ones, but at the moment we're working on a water station, a 400,000 liter water station. And with those, we'll just be using a lot of the 10,000 liter machines. So, at this stage, we'll just, if people want a lot more than 10,000, we just have 2 or 3 or 4, depending on what they need.
Okay. And did we talk price?
We have not spoken about
We don't
price
have
yet,
to.
but
It's not that. That's not the important. I was just kind of figuring out, like, if I wanted to take care of a whole bunch of villages.
If you wanted to do something, say, for your own home,
Oh, okay.
you could do this for probably in the neighborhood of $1,500 or less, and you'd be producing
How much
approximately
water?
about 8 gallons a day. So for your drinking water needs and things.
Well, I was thinking irrigation.
Well, you could scale it up and go irrigation, because EcoloBlue, they're not just water. They're looking at other environmentally sound techniques. So they are probably going to find ways to combine, say, their larger condensers with solar generators and battery packs, things that can be used in more remote areas. I know that in speaking to their vice president of sales, Doug Davis, that they've got a very large initiative that they're doing over in the Middle East. I believe it's Dubai, and I'm sure Wayne could probably share a little bit more about the size and the magnitude of that project, because that's a very sizable project that they've undertaken.
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% correct on the renewable side. I mean, these machines do take electricity. Our main focus right now is to develop them as cost-effective as we can. So we're working a lot on reducing the energy. On when you get onto large, like this project we're doing, it's actually in Abu Dhabi, is going to be using wind turbines with solar paneling. It's going to be trying to be 100% renewable. It's designed for emergency preparedness, and that's where we're trying to focus a lot of our attentions with a couple of products we have. Is preparing people for emergencies to have water accessible for them.
Interesting. Are there any areas the system will not work?
So the machine is based on humidity. The higher the humidity, the faster you can produce the water.
Okay.
So, obviously, cost-effective. It's cheaper in more humid climates because you get more out of the same energy.
Right.
The industrial machines can work at 20% humidity and above. So any deserts, you can still work at night times in really hot desert climates, but obviously produces a lot slower than it would be in really high humid climates.
Well, I was curious, I sort of had a question about the water when you freeze it. How does it come out? And the reason, what I'm trying to get at is sometimes you get really good ice that's almost crystal clear. It looks like glass because all the minerals, impurities, air, and all that stuff is gone. And I was just wondering if that's how the water comes out in this sense. Because it wouldn't have any minerals in it, would it, from the atmosphere?
Correct. Yeah, correct. The water is actually distilled content. Obviously, distilled water is more boiling it, but it has no nutrient value. It's got zero. It's very, very pure, and it's the same content as distilled. What we do though is we do add a mineral filter to our machines to replace it with minerals. And this is where the technology is really good, because not only does it make water, it produces extremely pure drinking water too, which is obviously a big thing out of this, is that you get the best quality water as well as it's coming out of the air. So you're making good drinking water.
Interesting.
Do that also are the filters also used for the intake for the air that is actually condensed? And I'm thinking. Say if it were used outdoors rather than inside a building per se, you've got air quality that changes from day to day. Southern California has always been famous for its beautiful smog in the valleys, and I would imagine there has to be something that addresses that if you're pulling that air to condense water from it. There must be some means that would actually scrub the air prior to going through the whole condensation process. Is that accurate, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, objective is no matter what climate or condition you put it in, you get the same pure drinking water out of it. So we have a very elaborate filtration system. It's actually somewhat a bit of an overkill. Because water coming out of the air is fairly clean already. It doesn't have a lot of impurities that you can get in municipal waters and ground or river water. But our machines are also designed as hybrid machines where they can be attached to municipal lines or river the large industrial units can be used to filter different kinds of water as well. So the filtration system is fantastic. So, we've done water tests in many different countries. We've taken the worst ones. We've gone into China when they've had the worst smog days. We've done all of the testings, and basically the water quality comes out the same no matter where we do it.
Okay. Is this a serviceable? Do you have to service the filters?
The service, it's a recommended changes on the filters. We provide a little ppm meter that people can test their water themselves to see where the quality is. And obviously, if the filters have gone for a long period of time, the ppm, which the parts per million, will go down, and they can see when it's about time for them to change the filters. So we have recommended, but people can manage their water as well. And they do need to change them. 6 months for a couple of the carbon filters. The UV lights and ROs is every 2 years. So it's a very easy. We've designed a great system where you can change the filters in a minute or two. It's very, very easy.
I was curious, what does the water actually condense on a metal, and what metal would that be?
Yeah, so the condenser is similar to anything you'd find in air conditioning, and it's a food grade. So we make sure that it passes the certifications for those reasons to be able to have water that can be drunk off it. But it's a typical condenser that you would find in.
So it's like stainless.
Stainless steel and
right.
food grade, yes.
Oh, okay. And the water doesn't have any deleterious effects on that stainless, right? I mean, does it eventually wear out,
or do you have to service it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the condenser will run the lifespan. I mean, the machine has a 10-year lifespan.
Oh, okay.
That's really due to the components that we use of the compressors. And it's like a fridge. They give a recommended. They say it's about 10 years, but some last much longer. It depends on how you maintain and take care of it. But those parts will last. I mean, it depends on on the machine and how well you look after it. But we for the compressor company that we use, the lifespan for it is 10 years.
Okay. Do you offer any type of a service program for customers that say they don't want to necessarily mess with it? They'd rather have you come in monthly, bi-monthly, however you recommend?
We're working on trying to get service. At this particular stage, we don't. We've sold a lot of machines to single-family homes in the U.S. where people are doing it on their own.
Okay.
We are getting much better, larger in working with people in different parts of the U.S. that are able to service. So we're building that part of the company.
When you go to outfit a home, how do you know what the consumer what size piece of equipment do they need? Do you do by their water consumption, square footage? How do you go about picking the right one?
It's the water consumption. I mean, you basically look at what you use over the months and average it out for the year. Because different times of the year you're going to have different humidity, so you need to kind of program everything out to find the optimal one per year.
All right. Sounds very interesting. Ken, you had a question?
Yeah, so for people that live near the beach, I guess it would be a gold rush, right? Because it's always humid down there at certain parts of the day.
Especially down in San Diego area, it's very, very humid. So the closer, obviously, to the water you get, the better it is.
Right.
Especially in the U.S. here. There's a lot of parts of the U.S. where these machines work extremely well. I mean, they do work well even in the lower humidity climates, but obviously more humid, the quicker you get the water.
All right.
There was something I thought of when we were talking about desal earlier, and then thinking about the concept of what you do with your EcoloBlue water generators. Would there be any way that you could use, say, some sort of an atomizer similar to like you see in hot weather where they have the misters, but you could create like an internal mister? And I'm thinking using salt water to do this now. Granted, it's going to complicate things with filtration and salt buildup later. But if you had a very arid climate, there's so much desert that gets close to the sea in many places around the world, would there be any way to use almost like a saltwater injection? It would raise the relative humidity, so then you could still use the same methodology that you're doing in fresh water.
It could certainly work if you have water accessible like salt water. We've done a lot of testings with just sort of regular water, trying to do exactly to humidify the area to see how much, and it kind of offsets each other. It's sort of a 1-to-1 ratio, so it's not really productive.
Okay.
If you do use salt or seawater, then you could, because the water is there and fair amount of abundance, and it can work. But outside of that, it's not a big winning ratio to make it worth the effort and the energy for it.
Right. All right. Hey, let's take a quick break, folks, and we come back more right here on Green Machine Radio. I'm Dave.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Ken.
And this is KCBQ AM 1170, Intelligent Talk Radio. Let's go ahead and bring Wayne back on. Alex, you had a question you were mentioning off air.
Yeah, I was curious to learn more about what they're doing for the disaster relief, because they apparently have a portable, or it's a portable. It would be something that you could deploy out in an area that needs fresh water. Say if you had a flood or a hurricane or something and your fresh water supply gets contaminated. These would be in a container size unit, or like a tractor trailer type semi-unit, where they have a couple of their atmospheric water distillers, but then they also have a portable bottling plant. And one of the other unique things that I've learned about EcoloBlue is they actually can do the portable plastic bottles, but they're biodegradable plastic, so you're not getting the environmental impact from having a very convenient delivery source for your water.
Absolutely. So anyway,
Is Wayne?
Yeah.
Yep. Still here, guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wayne, just to kind of, for everybody that's trying to figure out, well, how does this thing work? Of course, the water's different, but I'm imagining when you look underneath your car after running the air conditioner on a humid day, and there's a big puddle of water underneath there, I'm imagining it's kind of the same process?
Exactly. It's very similar to what you would get in the dehumidifier, even on air conditioning.
Right.
It's basically, when you're even on windows, sometimes when you have, cold on one side and heat on the other, it produces water droplets on the window. It's a very similar concept of the heat and cold and heat exchange. So it's, a lot of people are aware of it. It's been around for a long time. It's just, getting the thing with this technology is trying to make it really efficient. That's been the difficult part, is to make it cost effective and efficient.
All right.
And have you found that, well, you've been working on this thing for quite some time. I mean, is the technology out there? Do you see, future technology that'll make this, as efficient as you want it to be?
Absolutely. I mean, we've done well in the production side of the machines. Our next main focus is going to be on the energy side. When we started the company, we actually have 3 companies called EcoloBlue, EcoloLife, and EcoloEnergy. And EcoloBlue was the atmospheric water. EcoloLife is the biodegradable plastic, and EcoloEnergy is the energy part. But ultimately, our goal when we started the company was to be able to produce an atmospheric water generator that would be self-sufficient. And we're putting a lot of time and energy now on trying to bring the electrical requirements of it down so that it runs much cheaper, but also trying to find a way that it can run self-sufficiently. And, that's the goal. The goal is to have this machine basically produce free water for everybody.
Mm-hmm. And there's probably no noise.
The noise is something we've been working extensively on too. We've done well to drop it down to, it was at 68 decibels. We're getting it down to about 56. So we're working a lot on the noise levels too. The industrial is not really important because it's outside. It's really only for the home office units.
Right, exactly. Yeah, Ken.
Oh, I was looking at your website, and I noticed that you received an award, I guess, in 2010, MKB Innovative Award, Top 100. Can you maybe talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, obviously this is a new technology, and the difficulties, we've been running the company 7 years now. The difficulty that we had with this is the awareness of this product, getting people to understand what it does. Even though it is simple, still making people aware of what it does and the importance of it. And, it was a new technology. Not many other people are doing it, so it's still new. So people are finding it intriguing, and we try to get it into different places where they have awards like this, just so that we can get the awareness of this product out to people, to make them understand. I mean, water is becoming more and more important as we go, and people are always wondering what is out there to help them, and our product is certainly a great product that's there. So people, we want people to know that there is a solution to the water problem, and it's available from us and this technology.
But for some reason, we're sticking our head in the sand. For whatever reason. I mean, we're more upset about the gas prices going up, and we're still not, we're still not really, as far as I'm concerned, we're still not doing enough from a water conservation point of view. I mean, the latest is ratting on your neighbor. Well, that to me just generates more money for the city, in fines and what have you. It's not solving, the overall water problem. You mentioned earlier salt water, and, with the ice cap melting and the water level in the ocean actually rising, not that that's a threat for everybody, but in some lowland areas, New Orleans is a prime example, that could be a concern. So, I could see where your system could, alleviate that problem as well, put it to good use, whether it be you truck it or whatever you do with it. It's easy, potable water that you can put from point A to point B. I don't know. It just seems to me like, we need to, again, we need to look at this closer. How about legislation? How about Congress? What about the White House? Have they looked at this and said, hey, can we help you with this? Is there something we can do?
Yeah, we haven't really gone to that level yet. We've gone through some places, and it's difficult, even with the municipal water in some of the counties. Huge hurdles for us to overcome in regards to getting this technology recognized as potable drinking water. So a lot of the health organizations, the board certifications, there's the ANSI, there's all of these different certifications that we're in the process of trying to get, so that this technology can be recognized as potable drinking water, so that it then can be implemented into larger scale water, like, helping with municipalities with their water problems.
And we're talking money, folks. Don't let the title means nothing. It's money, because anytime you need a permit, it's money. Now, the permit's just going to go in a file box someplace. And yes, there are rules and regulations you have to follow, but, it's just like when you want to bring a car into the United States and you have to smog it, you're talking hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars just to get it through all of the testing. So that's where one of your hurdles are, unless you have unlimited funds.
Well, yeah, that's been the issue for us. We've had to really be careful on putting it into the right places. So we started off small, and we're working our way up. We're starting with a couple of municipalities in different counties here in California.
Right.
Really, once we get to certifications there, it will snowball itself out to help us. But yeah, I mean, funding, it is very, very expensive to do all of the certifications.
Well, let's just hope you get through all the certifications before we run out of water. Okay. I mean, I don't mind if we get low. I'll live with low. I just don't want to have none. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you're talking about the drought and your neighbor, and that. What I find interesting here in California is that we are in a drought, yet there aren't any restrictions yet.
Yeah.
And I live in Northern California, and we don't have any restrictions on, irrigation or anything like that. And that's the scary part, is that they say we're in a drought, yet we don't really have to stop doing anything that we do day to day anyway.
Well, except that we're going to have some people rat on you. Your neighbors are going to rat on you, and if we happen to drive down our volunteer, police departments for the older folks that are in those black and whites, they'll come over and chase you down and crimp your hose. But it's not. I mean, it's not even scratching the surface. So yeah. But in a way, hey, let them keep banging their heads against the wall. You keep doing what you're doing, and then one of these days they're going to turn around and say, Hey, what was the name of that company that can make us water? And where's that business card? It's got to be around here someplace. And so be it. You know, if that's what it takes, I don't have a problem with it. Just sounds like a good idea to me. And it sounds like you're on the right track, and it looks like you're in for the long haul. Because, you know, to be a pioneer, you have to take all the punches.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this technology is so suited for every household for people. And, you know, what I like about it is that, you know, talk about running out of water. And here we have an opportunity to never really run out of water. And I think the benefits behind it are very big.
Yeah, you're making some people nervous, like the water district. Hey, wait a minute! What do you mean? You don't have to. Hey, wait a minute! You're not going to have to pay for water? Oh, no! We got to
can't do that.
Slow that down. We got to figure out how to.
Don't collect rain. That's illegal.
Yeah. There you go. It'll make it illegal, or they'll say it's so full of cancer you don't even want to touch that water. Ken, they're going to go here in a second. Do you have a question?
Yeah, actually, sort of a statement. Well, we've talked about this before. As more and more of the military installations, United States military installations, are trying to become more and more independent.
This sounds like a perfect test bed.
Yes, they're trying to become energy independent by solar, and this certainly seems to be one thing that they could look at as far as water goes.
Has the military approached you guys?
Yeah, we've been working with the National Guard trying to get some product, but there again, you know, we're in the process of doing the GSA certification, which is a requirement for them too. And once we get that, then we will have a much easier chance. But we have been in good, extensive talks with the National Guard.
Good, and make sure you charge 3 times what you would charge anybody else, or they're not going to talk to you. I'm telling you, it's got to be outrageous, and then they figure, oh, that must mean it works. I know
that only works with toilets.
That was being a little bit facetious. Hey, man, I appreciate you taking time out of your evening. We look forward to talking to you down the road, and keep us and San Diego and the World Wide Web aware of what's going on, and we wish you all the luck, and we'll talk to you down the road.
Thank you, Dave, Alex, and Ken. I appreciate the time.
All right.
Take care.